Hello students, in this video I'm going to go over exercise U1A00b, which is an exercise on orders of operations. So this worksheet is actually broken up or grouped into three different sections here. We have questions 1 to 4, 5 to 9, and 10 to 12. And why is it grouped in this order? Well, it's because of the grouping of difficulty. So 1 to 4 is going to be the easiest of the batch. 5 to 9 will be second hardest, and then 10 to 12 will be the hardest batch of and really the difficulty level isn't that much of a difference. It's just a difference in the number of steps required in executing and evaluating what this expression evaluates to. So let's take a look. I want to solve one problem from each of these groups. So let's take a look at question 1. And we need to perform orders of operations. So in other words, PEMDAS. I want to start with the innermost groupings. And like I've said in the previous video, that whenever we have fractions, okay, that's actually a way of grouping things all together. It's treated kind of like a set of parentheses. So if I have 5/3 divided by -1, anytime I'm dividing by 1, it's that number. But since I have a negative involved, this is going to turn into -5/3. And then here I'm subtracting a negative. That turns into plus. And this is -2 and 1/2. Anytime you're working with any fractions, it's always best to turn numbers from a mixed number into an improper fraction. So here, this turns into -5/2 minus, and again, I'm working with all the numbers inside of the parentheses. So -2 minus 2 and 1/2. This turns into -2 minus 5/2. All right. And then just going through the process here, -5/3 plus 2/3, that turns into -3/3, or just -1, times -5/2. And then over here, because I'm subtracting, I need to create a common denominator. So this becomes -4/2 minus 5/2. And then going down further, orders of operations here. Now that I have common denominator, this is -9/2. This is going to be positive, because negative and negative makes positive now. I'm multiplying, right? This turns into 5/2. And lastly, because I am subtracting a negative, this becomes plus. So this is really 14/2, or it's really +7. I'm going to go on and solve another problem. Let's do question 5. Okay, so again, I'm going to go in the orders of operation. Anytime I see a mixed number, what I want to do is I want to rewrite this as a improper fraction. So this is going to be -3/2 minus a giant parentheses here. And then I have 2 1/4, which is really the same thing as 9/4. And then the denominator here, I am going to convert all those to improper fractions. So this is going to be -13/4. And then this is going to be plus 5/2. And then this is going to be minus 3/2, all times 1/2. And just going through the process, I'm going to simplify the denominator. So this is 3/2 minus 9/4 divided by, I need to create a common denominator. So this is 13/4 plus 10/4 minus 6/4 times 1/2. And now I can combine all that stuff in the denominator. So this is going to be 9/4 divided by -13 plus 10, that's -3, -3 minus 6, that's -9, -9/4. And if you look at this, right, inside the parentheses, I have 9/4 divided by -9/4. That just turns into -1. So I have 3/2 minus -1 times 1/2. And then lastly here, so the negative 1 times 1/2, that turns into just negative 1/2. And because I'm subtracting a negative, it becomes a plus. This final answer here is 2. And I'm going to go over one more problem. All right, so in this case here, what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to go inside the parentheses. So in the first set of parentheses, there's really nothing for me to simplify. The second set of parentheses, I want to simplify the numerator and the denominator by creating improper fractions wherever it's needed. So I have 1/2 minus 8/3, and the denominator is negative 5/4 minus 2. And over here, I am going to subtract the add the two fractions here by creating common denominator. So I end up with negative 9/6, because I multiply top and bottom by 3, right? Plus 2/6, because I multiply the second fraction by 2, quantity squared. And again, I want to simplify this further. The first fraction here, nothing could be done about that. The second fraction, I'm going to create common denominators between the numerator and denominator. So I end up with 3/6 minus 8/3. Denominator, I have negative 5/4 minus 8/4 minus, I'm going to combine the fractions now. Negative 9/6 plus 2/6, that is negative 7/6, quantity squared. I am going to now subtract the fractions by, my mistake over here. That's the problem when you're talking to yourself. So, yes, this should not be 8/3 here. This should actually be 16/6, right? Because I multiply the first fraction up top here by 3/3, and the second fraction should be multiplied by 2/2 to get a common denominator. Anyway, so now I'm going to simplify the numerator and simplify the denominator. So 3/6 minus 16/6, that's really 13/6, but it's negative, divided by negative 13/4. And then over here it's 7/4 minus, because I'm squaring it, I need to multiply both numerator. I need to multiply negative 7/6 by negative 7/6. That's what it means to square something. So that's 49/36. And I'm almost there. So when I divide fractions, I have to flip the bottom fraction and multiply it with the numerator. So this is 7/4 times negative 13/6 times negative 4/13. And we're almost there. Okay, if you notice, okay, the 13 and 13, they cancel. Okay, the negative and negative becomes a positive. The 4 and the 4 cancels. I'm left with 7/6 minus 49/6. And in order for me to subtract these two, I need to multiply the first fraction by 6/6, which is 42. I'm sorry, we don't need to multiply because they have the same denominator already. What am I saying? So this turns into negative 42/6, or really the final answer is negative 7. Okay.